is like reflecting in my glass.
The more you try to keep me down and keep my head above the water, you can never hold me down. The more you try to block me out, that's where I kick the wall down. You can never hold me back. The more you try to put me out, the more I'll be blazing, it's too hot. The more you try to put me in the dirt, increase my work, the expert. You see the hunger in the eyes of a survivor.
Hi everybody, it's Casey with Pinecase. Tonight I'm hanging out with Calico Hunt from Programming. Girl, listen, when that when that kicked on, I was like, you know what's wild is that we actually have made it through 2024 and the year is coming to an end. And I don't I'm not even like trying to be like that, but it's actually really amazing when you think about what we've accomplished and what has happened. And like that song kicked on and I was like, I don't even know how to start this other than like, I love you and thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know it's surreal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, when in your you know in your phone when it says like a year recap or whatever and it like shows you all the highlights and stuff.
Yeah.
I was really hoping my phone was going to do that for me today when I was like, okay, let's come up with some content and like, let's get this going, because I was like really planned a whole bunch of really cool stuff. And I was like, yeah, we'll like review some videos and we do have all that for everyone tonight. But I was literally looking for that like instant fix on a way to wrap up this season. And it just wasn't happening. And honestly, I don't know if there is a perfect way to do it, but but that song definitely encapsulates like a lot of what we've gone through. So I think it's one hell of a start.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. A lot has happened. And like when I was reviewing everything, I'm like, man, there's things that I've forgotten that even happened, you know, like that's how many podcasts we've done, right?
Yeah. Well, and then there's like the so like to go from the very beginning, there was like the highlight of Surreal, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that was you pushing me, because I mean, I can't remember. I know that there's a couple like, you know, black market episodes that maybe happened before Surreal came on the show, but but he was definitely like our first like big, we're just going to jump in there and do it. And since then we've had him back on the show and he was like, yeah, like all cash. Yeah, everything's cool. And I was like, yeah, you were definitely like our first episode. And he was like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, that was the beginning. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for pushing me to bring this online. I adore you for it.
Well, it needed to happen because nobody's talking about any of these amazing people. And like, I'm so honored to be able to, you know, throw everybody's name drop and brag about everybody that I know that's amazing, because everybody deserves it, you know?
Yeah. And that, I think maybe that's the coolest part about this project. Like before the podcast, it was like sitting in circles with groups of strangers and you know, explaining to them why they mattered, which I'll always do. Like you know, that'll always be like in the back of my mind, or it'll always be on the back burner. But then to be able to take their idols, like take the people that they love and they adore and bring them to, like in such an accessible way. Like, I mean, you know how many people lit up our comments and blew up our DMs when they were like, I got to talk with Mo Mashiri, you know, from Sweatshop Union. Like I got to like, you know, he is my everything. He got me through these moments. He got me through my, you know, this crazy time in my childhood. And so, yeah, you've made these amazing people accessible to just regular folks, which is, it's not something that I thought, it's not that I didn't think we were capable or that I thought I was capable, but it wasn't even something that like was in my goals. I was like, okay, we're going to change the world one conversation at a time. And it's going to look like, you know, AA, or it's going to look like, NA or whatever, because that was kind of like the only things that I could pull from. And you were like, no, what we're going to do is we're going to find the people that they idolize and bring them in and make them accessible and have these conversations and show the world how real they are, and that, yeah, their music is great. It's healing, but they're also humans that are going through like these incredible things as well. So yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, we're all equal at the end of the day, right? So I think that's like one of my favorite parts about that is like seeing everybody, you know, that you look up to being vulnerable and like resonating with so many things that they say, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think that kind of brings me to like some of my favorite episodes, because there was moments where I was like maybe not intimidated, but like, okay,
I'm
yeah, sure,
sure.
we'll have, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Like, I don't know, because I mean, I can talk about anything with anyone, but to convince people to be that vulnerable and express themselves in a way is like, it's not an easy thing to kind of force their hand at. And so, yeah, there's a couple of times where I'm like, I don't know how this is really gonna go, but we'll just see. And then it turns out they were some of our greatest, maybe be like gray whales or whatever. Like there's some ones in there that are just they're wild. What is I don't want to pin people against each other, because I mean you're a head of programming, but what was maybe like your favorite show to watch?
Well, definitely the DJ Lion one that made me like cry because I was like, oh my God, he has more guts than I do. And he's just like, let's go. And some of the things that he was saying, because like I'm not there to like, because I'm the one that knows everything. And he's just like, tell him, Mom, right? So it was really cute to hear him speak about it all and about his mentors.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about it, and I think Leo Johnson was one of my other favorites. I think I cried a couple times in watching that because of how connected you guys were getting, and it was super spiritual. Like it was there was a lot of touching moments. So I think that was like a tearjerker for me, which those are special times for sure, I think.
Oh, I think, yeah. I mean, and shout out to DJ Lion. He came on, did a pre-show for us. He definitely, bought us some time. It was interesting because, like, we're moms first and foremost before everything. And like, I was, my kids got his speakers like against the wall in the other room, and I'm like, okay, guys, like, we're gonna do this show, and like our kids are just like making music, being all loud, and I'm just like, this is really what it's about. Like, everyone's gonna have to just like chill on it for a second. Like, I know, if you're looking at the clock really closely, we apologize. We were running late, but like being moms comes first, and it is New Year's Eve. And so I had to take advantage of it a little bit. Like my kid came in barrels of blazing. So I was like, okay, yeah, we're going to get everyone settled in before we kind of settle in with everybody else. But yeah, he was a wicked, man. He came on and showed everybody what was up. I was like, okay, right on, little man. Like, yeah, that was a wicked set.
Yeah, he was
and
excited.
I think, yeah, well, and it's interesting because you're right. He does have more, like his confidence, like he is so sure of what is already happening that he's like, oh, what do you mean? I just got to like kick it and hang out and answer some questions. It's not really a big deal. And he's definitely the youngest one that we've interviewed, and probably one of the most prolific, because he was one of the people that were like, this is what I'm doing with my life. Like, this is where I'm going, and this is why. And there was really no like waving that. It was, when we're an adult, we're like, well, yeah. He was just like, this is where I came from, Bachina Pay, and I know who Aspen King is. And I was like, shoot. So,
yeah, and one of the things that of the feedback that I've gotten from like some of my friends and stuff, like when he's playing, like he's played some Renegade, shows and stuff. And he literally is so boss that like when he's done, he like takes his headphones off and puts it down and like walks away. Like he doesn't even like he's not even like, hey man, like here you go. Or he's just like, I'm out, and then he's gone. I'm like, oh my gosh, like to be that sure, wow.
Yeah. Well, and even when we were talking about doing the pre-show, and I'm like, okay, just give me like a signal, like through the screen or whatever, so I know that you're done and I can like shut the studio down or whatever. And he was just like, yeah, for sure. Wouldn't tell me what that signal was going to be, but just like, okay, yeah, for sure. And it was just like a slight cash. I'm like, got you. Like, it's so need not learn much more than what he's got going on, because he's got it pretty dialed in. But congratulations on such a cool kid. For those of you who Yeah, of course. For those of you who are just like hanging out and joining, like we absolutely see you. There's a lot of really cool people in the comments right now. You Passion, Bradley, who is literally like, listen, we notice when you're not around, and we notice when you're here. And there's some people who've just been so consistent. He's one of them. Jeffy's another one.
Much love.
Like, yeah, totally. Mike is another one. Jason from CMC, like that dude comes through so heavy for us all the time. You know, and I'll say it once, I'll say it again. If it wasn't for them, right? Like they really give us like the reasons to kind of keep going with it and show us and speak for people who don't always necessarily speak for themselves. I know we do get lots of comments in the DMs and stuff, but not everyone wants to be associated with a page that says mental health on it, because then it might mean that there's something wrong with them. And a lot of times we get people kind of sitting in the wings that are like, yeah, hey, like I watch your show religiously, but sorry for not commenting, you know, I just don't want that to be seen on Facebook. And I'm like, man, that's cool. Like there's lots of people that will keep those comments running, you know, keep the shows going for you. So thank you for those who are in the comments religiously speaking for everybody else. It's absolutely, well, it's fundamental at this point. It's how we break stigma and continue this project. And what's another one? He's hanging out in the comments too right now. He's like, you know, congratulations to him with next chapter. You know, there was some really cool hip hop artists that kind of, or not even just hip hop, but musicians in general that we've seen come on the show, kick it with us. We talked like a little bit about collabing and stuff. And then all of a sudden they're like out the gates. They got, you know, you get to see these projects like start from like nothing all the way up. And that's definitely one of the people that we've kind of got to watch go from like counting days over to, you know, being a registered company. So congratulations to him as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Much respect.
Yeah. Right? It's wild. And what's so cool is like we know how that feels. Like this is going to be 2 years for Pinecase as your registered company. Pinecase Mental Health and Music, for those of you who don't know. I guess it's time to do that interprovincial stuff. But yeah, it'll be 2 years. Father's Day is actually the day that we signed off on all of that. So we know how it feels to feel good about the paperwork part of it. It definitely makes a big difference.
Yeah. Totally.
But yeah, back to Leo Johnson, because that is, I again, it's hard to say favorites, but I think when it comes to like those moments that I'll never forget, especially when it comes to Pinecase, they were one of them. Like they were definitely one of them. And I think, I hope I'm not quoting this wrong, but when they said you grow everything, you create everything that you need in the womb that you don't use in the womb, but you grow them because you need them for the next stage of life, right? Like after birth. And so here we are, you know, in this space, and we're growing all the tools and learning all the things that we don't necessarily need in this space, but for the next. And it's still to this day, like I carry that with me. I'm like, right. Okay, these lessons that I'm learning, like, don't necessarily mean it's for the right now or the tomorrow. Like maybe this is what I need to then get on to like the next realm of life, you know, when I'm in my spiritual space, and like, you know, these lessons are hard, and like that's okay because that's what I need. And I think, yeah, it's definitely like one of those moments in Pinecase history that will forever like cement in for like real
totally
people. Yeah.
I think definitely. I learned the most. I think I learned the most in that episode for sure. Like, because it's things that you don't really think about, you know, and it's things that people just don't talk about. So how cool is that we got to speak about it, right?
Yeah. And I mean, you do such a great job with programming, because you definitely get people in that are like professionals in their professional way. No, professionals in their career or in their doctrine or whatever it is that they choose to do. So you have people that are doctors, that are spiritual guides, that are, you know, everything from sound bowls to being a psychiatrist. And it's so interesting to me because it's not just the musicians that we have on the show. You have such a plethora of people, and we don't always advertise them the same way, but they hold the same amount of weight. And there is some crossover between the two of them, but it definitely is. Yeah. But it's definitely an amazing thing when you get somebody on like Marna who comes in and is like, I have a doctorate in this, and like, you know, type of thing. Like I got 1, 2, 3 degrees, you know, and it's like, wait a second, it's nice to hear like the science behind it. So like with, you know, with Leo, it was more of like a spiritual connection to the music and the reasons, but then you have other people that come on here that are just like, you know, man, the fundamentals of it. Fundamentals. Am I saying that word right?
Yeah, I think
Fundamentals.
so.
Why does
Yeah,
it
I
sound so
think so.
weirded out? The fundamentals of how music is actually healing and why frequency is important and why
Yeah,
vibrations
the
are
science
important.
behind it. Yeah.
Which is also something that I really wasn't expecting to really, maybe not like learn, but it just wasn't something that, again, I thought we were just going to be kind of focused on the musicians and what that means and all of that stuff. And then all of a sudden, you know, we're having these beautiful conversations with people who really do know the industry from the other side. So yeah, it's been really cool. What was one of those gray whale type people that like we had talked about um that we actually landed? Because I mean, I kind of know, but people, you know, there's a lot of people hanging out with us tonight that like don't really get to like see that part of Pinecase, that are like, we don't, because we don't really advertise our shows that far in advance anymore. Like right now we're booked through February, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, right. But like who is one of the shows like looking back that like you're like, yeah, we totally did that.
I mean, there's a lot of personal reasons why a lot of them are pretty special to me, I think, just because of, you know, the festival scene and all the musicians that I know and all the artists.
Right.
So I think having Ben Howells on was definitely like a huge deal for me, and I know for like our community, because
Yeah.
he's always like, he's not somebody that's, you know, out, like he's not advertised, he's behind the scenes and he's making shit happen, and
Yeah.
it's like he's like a myth.
A
No,
myth.
but you know, you see him around, and you know, it's special to be able to hear it straight from him, because like we all have our own experiences of all of these years, but to have it from the creator, you know, curator, like, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, curator. That's a great word for him, for sure. I didn't know what I was getting myself into with that conversation, but what a beautiful human being. Like, what an absolutely beautiful human being. There's things that, like, you know, you can only read so many bios, or you can only, you know, you can only listen to so much music. And then you kind of get just, you just trust the process and you jump in there. But yeah, the standards that came from that conversation about harm reduction should be studied, you know.
Absolutely. There should be like a book written for sure. It should be like a
Yeah.
rule book.
Yeah, like you plan on hosting an event, this is what you need to do. You plan on having a festival, this is what you need to do. Plan on having people around, this is what you need to do. And when we talk about harm reduction, because it's something that we do in a capacity, right? We've had successes with it. Decimate Metal Fest was one of them. CR Block Party was another one, and there's a few other ones. Off of
Friday
Party
the
with a
13th.
Purpose was one.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th is another one. Yeah, and so we know what that looks like in a lot of different ways, right? Because people see like naloxone kits and water bottles, and they're like, okay, what's this about? Or they see like, you know, condoms or whatever, and they're like, oh, okay, what's happening here? And that's great. And sometimes, you know, we team up with local EMTs and stuff and make sure, you know, the security guards got their first aid and all of that good stuff. But when he was talking about harm reduction, it was just such a three-dimensional idea of what harm reduction is. And it was
Mhm.
so true to the way that he explained it. Like, there's no other way to know how to do that than to just be in it so hard. Like, this is from trial
Trial and
and
error.
error. Maybe, we haven't always been successful, but this is why, and this is how we got there. Like, we know what times we're going to put music on and in and shut it down, and like what, when we're going to pick it back up again, and really creating and curating that space for people to make sure that they're sleeping and eating, and like, whoa, this goes beyond, trash receptacles. Like, this is
and
beyond
a hard enough table.
right. Yeah, totally. Like, yeah, totally. And so to hear it from him in just such like a super honest way, like I will always appreciate that conversation with him, and I'll always push that real, like it should be the standard, in the same way that, when All Was Lost was on here and he had his rules for the mosh pit, like these are things
Absolutely.
that just aren't, like, if you're not in that community, you just don't know. Like, I guess, if somebody falls, you pick them up. If, and now that's like in my mind forever. Like, if somebody, I mean, it should be the rule of life. Like, if somebody falls, you pick them up. I mean, that's a great standard for like living, period.
Yeah. Life policy.
Right. But here it is, like it comes from the freaking mosh pit. Like, and he was so, when we talked that day, he was like, listen, because we had to redo that interview, or not redo, but we had to start and stop like 3 times. We were having technical issues and all this stuff.
That
And
was
like,
crazy. Yeah.
Right. And we're just like, no, we're in this. We're just going to keep it going. And people were, yeah. And people were awesome. They were like signing out, signing back in, finding the links, asking for the links. Like, it was, it was amazing. And he just gave so much into that. He's like, look, if nobody hears anything, like, they have to hear this, they have to hear the rules of the mosh pit. And I was like, okay, man. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're going to hit record one more time, like, okay, we're going to get it in there. And just to hear him with his like wicked personality and his like, like badassery, just be like, this is it. If somebody falls, you pick them up. And as soon as he nailed it, we're just like, okay, end scene, next. Like, we're all sweating in the background. Like, holy. But yeah,
hoping we don't lose reception or something.
Right. Yeah, it's super cool. Like, I feel like, every genre has its love and its staples. And through your programming, we've been able to really highlight a lot of those really cool things. So
there's more tricks up my sleeve.
I know 2025 is going to be right. It's going to be wild. I'm super, like, I don't want to give too much away, but I mean, we've had that project, the manual, sitting on the back burner, and I think we've finally invited the right people to join us for that, because that'll look like a reoccurring segment. And that one was kind of one of those things. It's kind of been maybe a bit of my baby, but super excited to see that, and then to see the trajectory of the calendar. Like, because I hadn't looked at it for a while. I'm like taking a peek at it the other day. I was like, okay, I see you. What keeps you inspired with that? Like, when you think of like what that needs to look like where is that coming from? What's driving those people, those picks?
Honestly, people just like, they just pop out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know this amazing person, they would be great. Like, that's the beauty of social media, is you see people on your feed that you don't see very often, right? And with like as many friends as I have, I'm lucky enough to just pull them, and if somebody can't make it, I'm like, okay, like, I'm going to remember to come back to you later. Like, I'm not going to forget about you. You're not ready right now, that's okay.
You're so sweet to people too, because I'm like, okay, I don't know, like, what's happening. You're like, nope, we're just gonna reschedule them. That's okay, sounds good. Like, yeah, we found like a fine balance, I guess. Over the holidays is maybe the trickiest part, and it's where you got to kind of make those conscious decisions. It's like, being in a restaurant on a long weekend, right? It's like, yeah, probably not. Like,
Maybe
everyone
not.
is out there. Yeah. Everyone's out there living their life. Like, kind of got to pick and choose like the right way. But I'm excited, because you've definitely managed to like sprinkle in the professionals and the information and the experience, and you've kept it a wide enough variety that I don't know if we've really even had, I mean, we've had the same genre a few times, but even then, like, it's kind of specific, right? Like if it's metal, it's been like a couple different kinds of metal. And like if it's house, it's like, you know, everyone has like their own place. So yeah, you've managed to sort that
The
out really well.
subgenres.
The subgenres for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. I think maybe Robbie G, like, I don't want to say great. He was maybe my gray whale, or like maybe my, I don't want to say my favorite, or like the one that I was like, if we can land him, like that's going to be a big deal. But that it might be because after we got Surreal and Momashiri on, you
Yeah.
know, amongst like a bunch of other, I mean, there's tons of really cool people. Tim Steinruck. So if you guys
Yeah.
haven't already, go and check out The Mighty One. Tim Steinruck is the prime example of what we're trying to accomplish at Pinecase. He is somebody who uses his pineal gland. He's somebody who's well aware of, you know, at the end of life, you only get like a pine box. He understands, you know, music from a healing aspect, but also from like a, you know, like both making music and listening to music from a healing aspect. And he's an absolute star when it comes to like, you know, building up your personality, being your number one player, like being kind to others, being being a servant to others and caring, and just a genuine all around good dude. Like, and I'm not going to lie, I was
It's like, oh my
hella
God.
scared of that interview. Like, I was scared. And I'm going to be really honest, I was scared. He is in a band with my dad. I have to like, do we convince my dad that this is a really good idea?
Which way do we go about this?
Right? Do we not tell my dad and just like try and convince Tim this is a good idea? Do I call in a favor and see if this, because he was definitely somebody that I was like, this is appropriate.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do it. And so
Well,
I
you kind of
appreciate,
kept me in the like dark about it. You were kind of didn't really tell me too much until like the last minute. And I was like, oh my God, like the pressure is on.
right?
But he was such a pleasure to work with. Like, honestly, if I could, like, and he's a mentor. He's a life coach, right? So if anybody is looking for a mentor and a life coach, like Tim is the bomb for sure. Like, he's definitely somebody that is like godly to me for sure.
Man, he's godly to everybody. Like, he walks around on flipping water. Like, it's next level. I got to get rid of this piece. Like, look at, this is how you add volume. It's crazy. He's right, but like he's godly. Like there's something about him. Like he has that stage presence, but in his personal life, right? Like you see him
Mhm.
like hit stage left or whatever, like exit stage left, and then he still kind of floats in through your life. Like he's so fluid and so confident that he could say anything and you would listen, but the fact that he has the absolute textbook examples to put into those words is like, you know, he's another one. He should be studied. And yeah, I didn't tell you about how serious that one was to me because I was like, if I do that, then you're going to be nervous. And I'm just going to act like it's no big deal. And that's exactly how it played out. And now he's been on the show twice. And I'm super proud of that. My dad is like super stoked about it. And it's like, you know, friends all around. So yeah, thanks for handling that one. And sorry for keeping
Well,
that
I wanted to thank you. I wanted you to thank you for putting me through that, because I remember that was like probably my first really professional contacting that I had to do, like, you know, because everybody else has been like kind of my friend, and I'm like, hey, what's up, man? Like, really casual, and I'm like, okay, I actually have to like put my business coat on and like, you know, be pretty proper, but I don't, like, really, I didn't, but it was one of those people that, you know, you
Yeah.
like super respected, and yeah, like, what an opportunity.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think that's also been like one of those amazing parts of being part of Pinecase is like, you know, we've both worked in the business sector. We both have strengths, we both have weaknesses, but it's also been a great teaching tool for us both. And it's pushed us in ways that maybe we don't kind of come by naturally. You know, there's things that you do really well that I don't, and there's things that I do really well that you don't. And and because we're honest about it, at the end of the day, in like a real way, we've been able to just really grow. And looking back at some of those emails at the very beginning are hilarious, and I'm like, man, we really did land that interview with that email. Like, that's amazing. But then you see what it is now, and it's like, because we've learned to grow through them and like, really dialed it in, and obviously there's always room to grow, and that's great. But yeah, it's been really interesting to kind of watch from like the information we thought we needed to give people, like, okay, every email is going to be like fully loaded. We are going to tell them like, we're killing stigma here. We're trying to save lives. Like, this is what it is, to being like, okay, we can leave a little bit to the imagination, I think, and like let there be a little bit of like breathing room between or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely been neat to watch. And it's the same, I guess that's maybe why when the video came on, because I thought about building a new intro for this. And I'm like, I don't know, it might be the last time we play this intro. Like, we have new ones for this year coming up. We've constantly been evolving, the brand. And so I'm like, do we run this? Do we run this one last time? Because it was not long ago that we finally got that one on anyway, right? And I'm like, no,
yeah, it was a little late.
But that's it's like, those are the things that are easy to change but have a really profound impact on the situation. I don't know if everybody knows this, and I'm going to take the time to explain this in grave detail, so buckle up. New Brian, the artist behind our soundtrack, right? Stay Strong. If you guys haven't heard it on repeat every time we start and end the show, then we'll throw a link in the comments for you. But as true as the sky is blue, that is my cousin. He is in Jamaica. He's wicked. And I remember going down there like the first time. I was pretty young, and my grandpa had like helped him get into get some studio equipment and stuff. Never in a million years did I think that I would be asking him for a song, to have for anything, never mind like a project that was so meaningful. And when he donated, because there's really no other way to explain it, that song, I was like, this is awesome, and he's come through for us on a few occasions. He was really excited when he heard that DJ Lion was the bursary recipient. He's like, let me get involved here. And definitely we hear his music in a few different places and hear his voice in a few different places. But yeah, for those of you who didn't know who that was, or had no idea why we had picked that song, that's family, that's blood for real. And it's amazing because we've been able to kind of have that a lot without people really taking notice. Like, there is, right? Yeah, we've been able to have these like really cool support systems like that are absolute, like, these people really are people in our lives. And I guess maybe like, because we talk about all the relationships that we have now and all the things that we grow. But yeah, at the beginning when we built this, like, these really are people, whether they all thought it was a good idea or not. They were like, yeah, okay, yeah, be sure. It sounds like, yeah, okay. You need a song, yeah, cool, whatever, but it's just something that I'm like wildly proud of, that I get to say that, every time that song comes on, I'm just like, man, that's really blood. So yeah, if you guys haven't, go and check him out. New Brian hanging out in JA, actually. Yeah, I don't know, man, he's got a couple good tracks out, so go and check him out on YouTube and all platforms.
He does. He's all over the place. He's on Spotify too, I believe.
Yeah, his link tree is thick.
Oh yeah,
it is thick. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You have a pretty cool family, I must say.
Yeah, I mean, they're all right. No, I'm super spoiled that way. And I think like, I don't know. I didn't know where where all that information was going to get put. I didn't really know why music was going to be. It's always been profoundly important. The same for you. There's a reason why we do this. But I didn't know where it was going to be appropriate. And I think I can speak for us both. When we seen the blue collar sector getting smashed, and the numbers were similar to the unhoused numbers, and no one was really talking about it, right? Like
Yeah,
no one
swept
was
under the rug.
yeah, everyone wanted to talk about, the drug addicts that were homeless, and the mess, and everyone this and that, and it's dirty, and we can't handle it. These people are freaking out. Like, that's all great, and yeah, it's frustrating. I understand that, but no one was talking about the dudes that are like going out and working and coming home, and their woman isn't there, and she's all turned up at the neighbor's house, and now they're paying like child support and alimony and their mortgage and all of this stuff. Um, and they got injured, and now they're on oxys, and
And they just have to
they're
grind through it and pretend everything's fine.
yeah. Meanwhile, like them and everybody else in their lunchroom is, sitting there wanting to like, commit sideways, and it just wasn't being talked about. And it was heartbreaking. Like, we're up in Canada. It's the same for the States. It's no different down there. The numbers are equally as terrifying down there. And it's not just the seedy underbelly anymore. This really is affecting it's affecting our economy. That's how big it is. Like, that's how many people are actually overdosing and dying right now. That's how many people are actually like passing away from suicide. And not to completely change like the tone of the show, but that is where I was like, okay, this is what we're gonna do with all of this knowledge and music. That's what we're
Yeah.
gonna do. We're gonna take this song from my cousin in Jamaica, and we're gonna go live with all of these musicians, and we're going to create a space that absolutely makes sense for regular blue collar dudes to come and get information on shit they don't want to talk about.
Yeah. And hand
No
them
one wants,
a phone number that they can call if they feel like it's the end,
yeah. And how do you do that but to create something that doesn't look like that? Like, I mean, we went back and forth about not putting mental health in the title, because even then people are like, they don't really want to touch it. I was like, right, but if we don't call it that, then they're not going to know that it is helpful, right? Because then it's just
Mm-hmm.
entertainment, and it is entertainment, but it still needs to be like, you know, what it really is. And the government said, call it that. You only have to have a certain amount of information. And I was like, okay, we surpass that every January, so that's no big deal. We really do have professionals on here, and we definitely send them in the right direction. All the resources are available, but it's always been meant for our, the blue collar that are just out there slaving away, sweating away, and got, whether it's a milk crate for a goddamn couch, or a luxury, like, 3-toned leather, like, what are those things called? I was gonna say ottoman, but that's definitely not it.
Fake lunch.
Chase lounge, yeah. It's all the same. That middle sector of people, it's vast, and it's super, super important. So that's what we did. That's what it was.
Yeah, and since we started, I have spoken with the ministry here, and their big struggle is the parents of the kids. Like, there's too many children without parents, and these parents are like our age, like they're regular people, and the grandparents are too old, and like it's scary because it's just overflowing so much that even like the social workers it's just as bad as the healthcare there. Like, it's the overworked, and not enough resources and support, and it's crazy. So
Well, and I mean, that's another thing that needs to be talked about, is like these resources run from 8 a.m. 8:30 to 4:30, and that's great. But there's a reason why these people have the highest stress leave. Like, no one takes more time off than people that are working for child welfare, period. And these numbers are absolutely outrageous. And there used to be a different issue with the child numbers, and we don't need to get into like the history of it, but right now it is us. Like, we are the generation that like needs the support. You're right, it's our kids. It's our
It's
kids. And if we
crazy.
don't find a way, if we don't find a way to sort that out now, like it then, and everyone talks about like, generational trauma and, not breaking the chain of, you know, there's so many different words for it, but essentially the generational trauma, we need to figure out a way to sort that out. And if we don't, then our kids are going to have this problem, and then they're going to continue to have this. Like, where do you fix that? You end the
All,
stigma part of it.
yeah, and all the kids will age out and be on the street, and then there'll be twice the numbers will just go up. The homelessness will just take over. Like, it's crazy. There's just
Yeah.
not enough.
Yeah. And these kids, like the kids that are down there now, aren't like, these aren't kids. This is what's wild, is like everyone wants to talk about the homeless, but I don't know if people have been down around those areas lately. Like, those aren't, it used to be the mental institutions. That's what they were called back then. They used to open their doors and kind of let out to the street. That was kind of what used to happen into these like groups. And then everyone would kind of harbor around needle exchanges and whatever. That's not what's happening now. There's like, what is it? There's 500 unhoused kids in Edmonton right now that are kids that haven't aged out of foster home. So these are kids that are like in foster care and would rather not be there, or have a home and would rather not be there. Edmonton's not a very big city. It's one example, right? And these kids aren't coming from the reserve. They're not coming from, like, they're coming from white picket households with parents that look like us. And it's because we haven't figured out a way how to deal with ourselves yet. And so how do we deal with this? Where do we tack this from? Do we go after the kids and fix that? Or do we figure out a way to like explain to our generation that they can talk? How do we give people the right tools? And the issue that kept kind of coming up was like, the information that is useful is only being delegated to the people that, one, are looking for it, which means that you have to be actively seeking it, or two, they're in that demographic already. So there's like a history of this. Their parents have been maybe were in foster care. They're already in the system, and the chain goes on. There is no space for people who have never been a part of it. My parents weren't a part of that. I had no idea where to look for this information. I had no idea. Yeah. And all I knew is that if I asked for help, they were going to take my kids. So why would anybody that looked like me, acted like me, sounded like me, go in there and ask for support? They're not going to, right? Yeah. There's like all this shame and embarrassment that comes with it. And how do you change that and make it look okay? Thank goodness for people like Jelly Roll. Thank goodness for people like old school Tommy Lee, who's just like doesn't give a shit that people think he's a dirtbag. Like, thank goodness for people like that who are like willing to talk about the things that are uncomfortable, that make people, clutch their pearls or whatever. Like, thank God. It made it easier for us to come in here and be like, you know what? Not only are these rock stars totally interested in that stuff, but so are these other people. So are people who are in hip hop. So are people who are in business. So are people who are, nurses. It all
crosses over.
It all crosses over. And they all actually are people just like us. Like, there isn't really this, because before, when we used to look for support, it was like you had to go to what's that nurse called?
The crisis nurse.
The crisis nurse. You'd have to go to the crisis nurse, and then you'd have to get a referral, and then you would have to move forward from there. Well,
so like social workers. Yeah.
Who wants to go to a crisis nurse? Who even knows what that means? Yeah. Who even know what that means? You got to walk past all your peers. You got to, now your friend Sarah, who's working Emerge, she knows what's up. Like, no. And so where do you go to get this information? And that's, to be able to like sit here and chat with people like Robbie G about meditating, or to talk about, who are some of the other people that have been on the show? There's so many of them now, like so many amazing human beings. But for them to be like, man, like, I actually went through that, and I come from a totally normal situation, Yeah. And this is how I did it. These are the numbers that I called. This is how we can do it. Like, I guess that was a bit of a rant, but it's really like at the very core of it, like that was our mission. It is our mission. It's what we continue to do every day. And it's why we do it. And it's because the numbers are astronomical, and And if we don't fix it now, then the homelessness numbers and all the things that piss everybody off are just going to go up. So,
well, and we have boys ourselves, and we hope
yeah.
that they can do their part too, right?
I don't want my kids to be scared of talking.
No.
I don't want my kids to be scared of talking. I don't want a world where because he's a boy, he's not allowed to talk. I don't want that.
Exactly.
And the only way to fix that is to fix it. Is to lobby local government and to push things that are uncomfortable and unsightly, and to make things accessible. I don't want my kid to ever have to use an naloxone kit ever.
Never.
But
No.
right. So how do you prevent that? Well, show him the reasons why he might need one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, you want your kid to brush his teeth? Show him what a crackhead's mouth looks like.
It's true.
I've never had to ask my kid to brush his teeth since then.
That was good advice that you gave me, by the way.
Yeah.
It's solid. The truth hurts.
It hurts and it sucks and it's like it's ugly, but it's our truth. And I think that it's that it is going to it matters, people I mean, the world is kind of done a 180 now. And I think like in Canada, it's a little bit different, but Mercules is another one of them that he's like really grounded and honest and like, isn't scared to say the things or be like, what, like, coming from a place of recovery. There's a couple other ones too in there, Prada West, Mad Child. Like there's just some really cool people right now that are just like, man, this is what it is. This is what it looks like, like this is why you don't have to be a junkie, like to get hooked up with pills. Like, it doesn't have to happen that way. It didn't go that way for everybody. Right. And so.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And shout out to Surreal for his sobriety. I think he's like, so it's 61 days. I think I saw him announced today.
Yeah,
really badass. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super exciting. And I keep seeing those numbers pop up all over the place. I'm super impressed. Candy's another one, man. She's like, she's admitting in our group. She's been hitting those dates like crazy. And it's just amazing because you see people that, it doesn't matter what the hell you done. It just doesn't even matter. Like, it just doesn't even matter. The goals right now, like that we see getting set. And it's because the people that came before them that like make it cool. Who else? Oh, Eminem was another one who is like rocking a heavy sober date, right? Kat Von D, like all these people are coming out and like really like advertising their sober dates. And I think it's an absolutely amazing thing. Like it just contributes so heavy. Like I don't know whether that's their intent or not. I don't know, but it's pretty deadly. Like to be able to see that, it definitely makes it easier for everybody else to be like, hey, I got 30 days in, or I got 3 days in, or whichever.
Speak of the devil, Matt's here.
Yeah, man. Honestly, like, thank you so much, Surreal. Hey, if you guys haven't gone out, I don't know if voting is closed, but he's always got things going on that you can go in and like support. His page is so much fun to be a part of. The music is great. The rest of it is just extra, and it's so fun. Like I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I became like a fan of him. But there's so much music and so much exciting stuff. It was like going down like an extreme rabbit hole. Like this just really, really, it's a really cool space. So yeah, if you guys haven't already, now voting is over. Yeah, sorry. I did advertise it though, because I was like, man, look at this picture. Look at this. Let's see what's going on. It's pretty cool. But
he's always up on TikTok too.
TikTok's a whole world, a whole beast of its own. He is on TikTok. And you know what? Like, shout out to everybody that's like out there advertising their stuff and really putting in the hustle and allowing us to be able to be like a part of their journey. Like I said, it makes it easier for everybody else to find this, to find what they need and find the resources that they need and speak their own truth. So shout out to all the real ones doing it. He said he'll be on TikTok tonight for the countdown. Yeah. We'll all be around for the countdown. Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Before we wrap this up though, I'm curious, like, is there an episode that you felt, I mean, we did talk about Leo Johnson, but is there like it's hard. I would say, is there a lesson that you've learned? But I feel like maybe that she was, or they were one of them. Is there any other like episodes that kind of stick out in your mind that are like a good reference for people to go and check and be like, yeah, this one's got a ton of good info on it?
Definitely the Millie from Mean Bikini. I really appreciate him for how real he is, and his experience. Like, he's an outreach worker, and he's like been on the downtown east side, like grassroots projects, and to come over to the island and help here is like really rad, and he's super open about everything, and just wants to spread the word. So I think that it was nice to know. Like, I learned about him, which I really liked, because I didn't really know as much about him.
Yeah.
So I think that was really cool.
That was another one. I was like, girl, what are you getting me into with all this? And then we jumped in there and I was like, whoa, like, talk about crowd interaction. Like, you're really saying that, they were out there like surfing on, like, crowd surfing, like,
Yeah,
come on.
for real. I held the surfboard, and like, it was crazy. And then we all got on stage. Like, I don't even know how many people, but the whole crowd got on stage, like children and everybody, elders, and I was terrified because I'm like a stage manager type person, so like it was really scary having all these people around everything, and and I felt like I was going to collapse. I'm like, oh, what a brave guy, he's just including everybody. Doesn't matter. He doesn't care what he has to do.
That's awesome. That's super awesome.
Yeah.
I think, Mean Bikini, and then, oh my gosh, why can't I remember their name off the top of my head? What is the Teddy? Do you
Teddy.
remember? Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. That was amazing.
Teddy came on and said some shit like, that's like 400 miles, man. Remember that? Like, we're like,
meanwhile, the reception's like, and he's like on a boat and stuff.
Teddy came on from like a recovery page. I didn't really know who he was. And then he's like, I run a detox boat.
Detox.
I put people on my boat. What the heck was it called? Put people on my boat. I run them out to the middle of the water so they can't do nothing but detox. And then we play some music and come back to shore. And I'm like, that's amazing.
Brilliant.
Like, brilliant. Genius. Like, who are you and what is going on? Like, brilliant. Yeah, he's somebody we'll have to go back and see if we can track him down again. I haven't heard from him for a little while, but I think that's definitely like top 5 of like the shows that I would love to go back and be a part of again, because I was not expecting that. The same way Mean Bikini came out, like, he was just like, that was 400 miles, man. I was like, holy, you're really taking people out detoxing like in the middle of the ocean.
What if they like jump ship or something? Like this.
Right? Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I think that's probably one of my favorite ones. I do have some like random clips that we can kind of pop in and check out if you want. I wouldn't mind doing a couple. I haven't looked at them yet. I sent off some content to kind of like to have done up. It didn't come out the way I wanted to, but I still think it'd be really funny to maybe just like run a couple of them and just review them. So,
and you have, did you get the stuff that I sent you?
Eeny, meeny, miny, yeah, it's all in there. So I don't know where it is in there, but we will see. I'm actually like scared. I can't really see any of them, but okay.
Can I call Levi?
Yeah, maybe, because he's in. Yeah, he's definitely in some of this stuff. Okay. As far as I'm concerned.
When you're feeling heightened, when you're going through those moments of grief and loss, when you're feeling like, addictions are taking over, like just taking those moments of self-care And I remember having this conversation with one of my community members once, and you know, like, why do you feel you need to drink all the time, right? And it's like, well, because I don't really feel, and I'm drinking to numb the pain. And I'm like, well, what if we could think about some positive things to do instead of numbing the pain, just to, like, you know, to feel and to heal.
Shit, anything I'm wearing has been given to me by somebody. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even go buy jewelry, but
yeah, but that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I mean, but that's real people stuff, right? And I guess, like, you know, I'm not trying to talk ill about anyone in particular, but, like, you know, I shout out to you and men like you. When you guys aren't worried about, like, those type of things, that means that you're coming through, like, strong on other.
I think just, like, you know, knowing when you've reached your capacity and, like, you know, maintaining boundaries and, like, you know, being comfortable with disappointing people sometimes, I think is key. Which, yeah, like, again, I've struggled with, but am working on.
Right.
So yeah, just getting more discerning and, like, a little bit pickier, you know, because, like, my time is precious, and a lot of the times, like, I'm like, you know, I've got a million collabs, and then I'm still out here trying to finish my EP, which is often, like, put last.
Like, every day you should be reading, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, or a chapter a day or something, to, you know, if you just do a little bit every single day, eventually you're going to finish, like, so many books. It's crazy. And we consume so much mindless content and watch television shows that just rot our brain cells, or read newspaper headlines, or not. So yeah, every day you should make it a point to read some books, to gain some knowledge, and then also, you know, do nothing at all. Like, sit in stillness, try to shut off all the thoughts in your brain and get tapped into the divine.
Get tapped into the divine. Like, that dude. Yeah,
Amazing.
shout out to Robbie G, man. Get tapped into the divine. Like, just read some books. We've had some cool people on. Hold on, I kind of want to watch a couple of more. Like, sorry for the bad editing on that one there. I don't know what was the deal, but yeah, we've had some cool people on here. Like Fauna, what? Yeah, like combating stigma, really.
Pardon, what was that?
I think, like, to be able to put your story out there and have them be involved with the journey with you guys, like that is contributing to ending stigma in a massive way, you know, because a lot of people do that kind of stuff to themselves and don't give anyone the opportunity to maybe be supportive or, you know, to be kind. And, like, it's hard to do, right? Because we don't want to put ourselves out there like that all the time, or we don't want to, you know, be exposed in that sort of way. But I think you've done it in such a way that people understand and have come around. And because you've done that, it contributes to ending, like, the idea that this is, like, an unsolvable problem, or that these people are disposable.
Right.
Daglow abortions. Are you joking? How did we not highlight him earlier? Murray is an absolute flippin' legend. Like, that guy, you want to talk about ending stigma, like, he's been at it since before I was born, man. Like,
Forever.
Yeah, if you guys haven't listened to Daglow abortions or whatever, I mean, you don't even really have to take the time to do it. Like, it's definitely, like, when you're feeling any sort of pressure, like, there's some
good political stuff, and there's some really good, like, angry, inappropriate stuff, which is actually really funny.
Mm-hmm.
For the record.
And therapeutical in its own right? Like,
yeah.
You know who else actually is Dallas from Narcotic Wasteland? There is the survive. Like, if the world is ending, like, that's the dude you need on your side. Like, there's another interview that I was not expecting to go. I didn't know what to expect, actually. And that guy knows how to live life properly. Like,
absolutely,
in a real sort of way. Yeah. Okay, you want to check out a couple more? They're actually kind of interesting. I haven't seen some of this stuff for, like, ever.
When I was in the hospital with the cancer, I had a couple of sort of epiphanies there, I guess, moments of clarity, or whatever you want to call them. where I realized that you know, my music career has always been a battle, really. Even
I'm just saying, like, sometimes when you see people down on the corner preaching all this stuff, I'm like, man, that sounds a lot like some of the things I've heard in a different setting. It felt different. Like when I was at the Mayan temples, you know, walking around barefooted, grounding, none of that would be weird. But because it's like, you know, off the corner of Homer and Davies or whatever, you look crazy. You know, trauma you have, you need to, you know,
Exactly.
it can, you know, it absolutely needs the attention and
Yeah.
and respectful conversation that it rightfully deserves. I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
It would be easy to be dismissive for sure.
Oh, 100%. Especially if you like grew up and you're like, oh, everything's fine. You know, that's fine. This is fine.
Yeah.
They're hurting. We need to help them type thing. And it's like, it's kind of like you're like, well, I don't have a right because I haven't been through what they've been through, basically what we just said. So it's like, yeah, it's hard to get past that. It is. I struggled for a long time. So, yeah.
Right. I'm just saying, like, sometimes when you see people down on the corner preaching all this stuff, I'm like, but I know that you and I think very similarly. And I know that when you write music, especially this song, it's an exact fit, and it allows people, you know, in on how, you know, one's feeling in that moment. So yeah, it's an absolute honor to have you on here and to anticipate this music video with you guys. And yeah, I'm excited always to see my dad. But yeah, this song for sure.
There's a lot of people. The whole marijuana. There's even they call it what do they call it? Cali sober.
Oh,
there's people that, and I'm for it. Like whatever.
yeah. And that's because I don't think they're necessarily appropriate for today's generation. It's a generation that came up with, you know, the opiate epidemic above them, and, you know, pills were essentially, you know, a party favor, and lean, you know, GHB is talked about in music, and, you know, it's cool to overdrink. So what does clean and sober really mean? I think it's changed. And I honestly want to bring with me in the conversation that there is multiple facets to a healthy life. And it doesn't have to look like what it's always looked like. Pinecase is, you know, it started off as basically like the pine needle gland.
Yeah, decompression is very important. And sometimes when things get so stressful, like, and I think a lot of us are going through it, in order to, you know, hustle and make a buck and keep the lights on and all that stuff. We really got to bust our asses right now. And there isn't a lot of time for thinking about one's mental health. You know, there's no room in it in our world. There's no room for that. And it sucks. And we all feel it. And luckily, you know, playing aggressive music helps me get some shit off my chest, because I don't know what I would do without it. I really don't. And also, you know, enjoying video games and reading about stuff or whatever, you know what I mean? But everybody needs that rest time. And we all kind of need to stand up on that a little bit, just so we all get what we need.
So that's big in my messaging, is like trying to teach people to pick up a book and to read it, and to make it a daily practice.
And, you know, kind of deal with things here and there, but it was never anything serious. And it wasn't until like my mid-20s that I started dealing with some very severe anxiety, which this is another thing that has definitely gone into my songwriting. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly how old I was, but I had my very first anxiety attack, and I thought I was definitely going to die. And I made it through, and I was like, what the hell just happened to me? And so I kind of did some research and discovered that that was an anxiety attack. Nothing's actually wrong with me other than in my head. And
Okay, let's get into it. So,
isn't it so nice when you feel comfortable in your skin?
yes. That has been like a full-on journey for me. Full-on journey. I feel like literally in the last like 72 hours, I've felt more comfortable than ever.
Oh, wow.
Calico, you have taken us, I mean, those are just some random clips, but like you have really taken us on such a journey into all different things that are important and like different solutions to different problems. And I commend you for it, because what a hodgepodge motley crew of guests that are just so absolutely glorious in all of their own ways. I mean, there's so many other great moments like those. I don't know why those are the clips that happened to pop up tonight, and I'm actually kind of grateful for it, because I would have sat there forever trying to figure out which ones we needed, and a lot of those are
Really?
already reels. But yeah, it's really neat. And I think right now, while we have DJ Lion just chilling with you, I think it's a great time to run. Do you mind if I run your wicked awesome mini promo video you got that you used for your intro and outro today? Yeah, I really want to show the people that. I think it's amazing. Yeah, so without further ado.
You know the connect is real. Course to course, you know the deal. I don't think they understand the levels to this. So let's show them how it's done. You ready? Give them a chance, they might do it again.
I got the money in the bag and there's nothing else. Speakers in the trunk if you're thinking about messing up. G's in the bag, let me see you put your fingers up. Now put your fingers up, baby, put your fingers
Hey yo,
up.
DJ Lion.
Man, DJ Lion, congratulations on being the first Pinecase recipient and for just letting us be a part of your journey throughout the year and doing all the cool things that you've been up to. I was really proud to have you here for Decimate Metal Fest, and then you've gone on to do some really cool things. And to even just today when you were killing it, warming us all up for this evening. Yeah, so we appreciate you. We got mad love for you, and I can't even begin to explain how proud we are and how much we've all really enjoyed being a part of all the cool things that you're doing. So thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
And shout out to New Brian for that track. Money in the Bag, right? New Brian gave you that.
There's 2 other ones too.
Yeah, there's a few. We got some samples and oh man.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, man. Honestly, like I'm happy to see 2025. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'm super, super pumped on everything that's going on. But yeah, there is a little bit of like, dang, like this year could have kept going and that would have been totally fine because it was just such a great year. And I mean, yeah, we all know the hardships that everybody's been through. We're all sweating behind the scenes. There's no joke. And I would never undervalue or be dismissive, as I'm learning, I say quite a bit to any of that. But on the real, just on the day-to-day, I think last year was pretty deadly, and I'm pretty excited to see what's going to be coming up. So wicked. All right, you guys. Well, I don't know what else is left to say. I mean, we could sit here and run videos all night, but I think it's we could probably like let everybody get on with their New Year's Eve. For everybody that's been like hanging out with us in the comments and who's super patient with us today, I really appreciate it, and every other day for that matter. We see you, we appreciate you. Every like, subscribe, share, comment, all that stuff, it doesn't ever go unmissed. There is times where I don't get a chance to comment back right away, but it is absolutely fundamental that you guys feel loved and appreciated. And so from the bottom of all of our hearts, thank you so much for being a part of Pinecase. It means the world to us. And there is always going to be times where we wake up and check our phones or check our computers that we're like completely blown away. So please don't undervalue yourselves or think that it doesn't go without, because, you know, Calico and I can speak for each other when we say, like, there's definitely times where we're like screenshotting, like, did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? Like,
and it's hard to keep up with it all, actually. Like for me, I'm like, oh my goodness, I could just go into the notifications all day.
Yeah, which is such a blessing. And I just, I feel super spoiled about it. So if it wasn't for all of you guys, you know, it just, we wouldn't, well, I don't know, we probably still would be doing it, but it wouldn't be nearly as fun. So
it wouldn't be as cool either.
It wouldn't, no, totally. So yeah, thank you for everybody for always hanging out with us and doing all that good stuff. Again, shout out to DJ Lion for coming through and being the first and great example of what a Pinecase bursary recipient looks like, and is. For those of you guys who don't know what that is, we'll definitely get, I guess it's about that time. We're rolling out with a bunch of stuff for this year, so we'll make sure that everybody's got the information that they need. But Scholar Tree is actually where all that information once was, and so we'll make sure that it's updated for rolling out for this season. But yes, we do have a bursary, we do have a scholarship, we do harm reduction at events, we do hit the pavement a lot of the times, and we've been able and blessed to actually host some of our events ourselves, which has just been an absolutely amazing time. So if you guys want to get involved, you can. We'll throw the information in the comment section. Calico is always hitting her emails hard all the days and sending people in the right direction. We have recently just started our group, which is a community. It's run by Felice and Candy, who have just been working tirelessly over there as admin and making sure everybody is staying safe and feeling heard over there. And there's a couple of cool projects that you guys can buckle up for coming up into this season, but we haven't quite released them yet. So you got to just throw the notification bells on and maybe just keep checking YouTube once in a while, because we do throw some information over there. Be patient. Yeah, be patient. Yeah, totally. We do have our warm line for you who just need somebody just to be heard or to shoot the shit with. We know what it's like. It's definitely that time of the year. So 250-289-3948. You will definitely get a volunteer. It's not always going to be us, but that it will always be on. And for those of you who are more comfortable with the big dogs, it's #988 will put you through to the crisis line. That is Canada and the United States. So please stay safe. If you guys need naloxone kits, just hit us up anywhere and we'll let you know where you can go and get them. We do both have them on hand, although we're not in the same city or state or province or whatever. So it's not going to be much good to everybody else, but we definitely will hook you up with the right people that need that will let you know where you need to go. And other than that, I think we pretty much covered it all. You guys, happy New Year's Eve. Stay safe. And
happy
for the
New
year, yeah, we'll see you next Tuesday.
Blood my pride washed down with some saliva. Reinvented my whole life, mental MacGyver. One door shut, another open up wider. Listen, battle drums in the distance, moving with enough force like army tank pistons. Pray for the strength of Jah to fight resistance. Fight mode, shields up, moving with resilience.
The strength of 1,000 lion and the strength of 1,000 giant. Please stay strong. Please stay strong. With the strength of 1,000 elephant and the strength of 1,000 tiger, we stay strong. We stay strong.
The further you take my rights away, I'ma run to it, refuse to hear my voice. Speak loud when I spit it, but you don't get it. You just wanna be a side critic. See somebody else showing hate in the side of the road with it. Now how would you feel standing on the sideline and watch the color of a nation deteriorate over time? The flag real high, but compassion 6 feet below. Now you're searching for that justice that decided to never show. Deny my place, I'm back with a trace. Keep up the pace, tight lace, game face. Get back in the race. Whatever they did could never be undone. Every dark night ends with the rising of the sun. Squandered every wealth that's built from the mud. Squandered every wealth that's built from the blood. Squandered every wealth that's built in chains. Stolen from the ancestors, running through my veins.
With the strength of 1,000 lion and the strength of 1,000 giant, please stay strong. Please stay strong. With the strength of 1,000 elephant and the strength of 1,000 tiger, we stay strong. We stay strong. We stay strong.
I can see, run to the light at the end of the tunnel winner.
We stay strong.
I can't breathe. We're gonna get oxygen without the justice system.
We stay strong.
And I know, gotta keep my head together.
We stay strong.
Don't doubt me, please don't doubt me.
We stay strong.
Tell me how can we be strong if we still shooting? Tell me how can we be strong if we still looting? Tell me how can we be strong if we still hating? Please tell me now, please tell me now. Tell me how can we be strong if we're still divided? Tell me how can we be strong with egos inflated? Tell me how can we be strong with so much hunger? Please tell me now, please tell me
With
now.
the strength of 1,000 lion and the strength of 1,000 giant, please stay strong. Please stay strong. With the strength of 1,000 elephant and the strength of 1,000 tiger, we stay strong. We stay strong. We stay strong.